Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
One more time. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Very good. As educators, that's kind of the way we have to start our morning, and especially as we head back to school, it's a good way for us to get in that practice. Thank you so very much to Governor Burgum. Welcome to the second day of the Governor's Summit on Innovative Education. First, I really want to thank our hosts here in Jamestown. Jamestown High School has provided an excellent venue for this event to gather and inspire each other, and I just think they all deserve a great round of applause for holding such a great event. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Governor Burgum for his partnership. He mentioned a bit of it, and I just can't echo that or underscore that enough. Not only does he partner with us in so many things, he has been a champion for the important issue of K-12 education since he took office, and I don't think we could have a better and more greater cheerleader than we have in Governor Burgum, so let's please give him a round of applause. And I also want to say how grateful I am to you, each and every one of you. The governor did share that, and I also want to echo that. It is so very, very inspiring to me to see all of your faces here. This is probably one of the most busy times of year for those of you that are in this room. Whether you're a legislator, it's harvest season. Whether you're an educator, we are back to school just right around the corner, and yet you've chosen to take your time, come to Jamestown, and learn about some very, very important issues. And it really is gatherings like this that bring about the networking that is so very important, the mutual encouragement that we provide to each other, and the sharing of knowledge and experiences about education best practices in North Dakota. But I am confident that your time is well invested. I am sure that all of you will take new ideas with you back to your schools, and that the students, families, and citizens that we serve will benefit as a result. As you can see from the program, the title of my talk to start day 2 of this summit is North Dakota, Working Together for Safe and Healthy Schools. It has become clear that the #1 safe and healthy schools issue in our schools today is the need to address behavioral health challenges in our schools. Behavioral health and addiction and recovery have been pillars of Governor Burgum's administration, and I am grateful that he has had the willingness and the courage to include behavioral health front and center at this summit. By the end of next week, most of our kids will be in public schools, and they will have started a new school year. The thousands of our North Dakota students who are returning to class have been vaccinated against all kinds of diseases. But there is no vaccine against one of the most common problems that we're experiencing, and that is the behavioral health issues that more and more of our students are experiencing. At any one time, 1 in 5 of our students are suffering from some kind of diagnosable mental health disorder. And these kinds of health problems do not discriminate by race, by gender, by family income, or even family status. This is an issue that cuts across our entire society in North Dakota. It's reflected in the youth risk data that we have from our schools. The shocking numbers of our students who have thought about suicide and have reported feeling sad or without hope grows each and every year that I've been in office. According to the Federal Substance Abuse and Medical Health Services Administration, by the time 2020 rolls around, mental health and substance abuse disorders will surpass all physical diseases worldwide as a major cause of disability. As educators, we know about the barriers some students have that hamper their learning. And we must be conscious of behavioral health and the role that it plays in making sure our students are ready to learn. A student in the midst of a behavioral challenge simply is not going to learn to the best of their ability. This is yet another one of the duties our educators and our schools have taken on in recent years. Some sit and wonder why. How did we get here? This wasn't an issue when we were in school, when most of us were in school. But I can assure you, from my school visits, my conversations with one of you on a daily and weekly basis, this issue is real. We can talk a lot about how we got here, and there are a lot of possible explanations about how we got here. One can speculate, but the indisputable fact is we are here. We don't know all the reasons of how we got here, but here we are. We have an issue that must be faced directly, and we must face it together. A few years ago, a diverse set of educational groups and their stakeholders came together to set forth a vision and agree upon a common set of goals that we could work toward. We drew upon everyone's knowledge and expertise in forming this vision. And with any vision, you must first determine what your needs are and what your priorities are. So we set forth and we interviewed and surveyed parents, families, students, legislators, teachers, principals, superintendents, paraprofessionals, citizens. And through this North Dakota research, we found that behavioral health was the most common and the most urgent issue that was brought up by schools across the state. Large, medium, small schools in the east, west, north, and south all said the same thing. One of their biggest barriers to greater student learning was the increasing demands of behavioral health challenges in our schools. It was clear North Dakota schools were facing increasing frequency and intensity of student behavioral health issues at younger and younger ages. This is not just a North Dakota issue, though. It is occurring all across our nation. So we had to ask, how do you respond as educators? What we did is we identified, as a state, the 22 organizations that came together as one of our strategic themes to find ways to support safe and healthy schools. And within that strategic theme, 22 organizational agencies and associations developed tactics within each of their own spheres and realms to help create safe and healthy schools. And I'm going to put up on the slide if we can. Oh, no. Oh, it was there. This is what we resulted in. The governor spoke about the opportunity that our state has because of our collaborative nature. What you see on the screen is 22 educational stakeholders, their groups and their constituents coming together to create, for the first time ever in the state of North Dakota, a shared vision with 6 outcomes and 5 agreed upon strategic themes of how to reach those goals and outcomes. When I shared this with my colleagues across the nation, other secretaries of education or commissioners of education, they're astounded. They're absolutely astounded that people that didn't have to work together chose to come together to create a K-12 vision for the state of North Dakota. But as we worked on this and as we specifically drilled in on support for safe and healthy schools, it became immediately clear, we immediately recognized that we could not get this work done alone. We just simply couldn't do it. We had to work with our Department of Human Services. We had tried for years to do this work alone, and we were not succeeding. So we worked with the Department of Human Services and partnered with them to help us. The Department of Human Services has our experts in this state in behavioral health. And we knew that our state agencies needed to provide a model for our local schools and our community health specialists on how to collaborate. We need to leverage the resources that are already available in our communities instead of trying to recreate them in our schools as we have been doing, creating and exploding the cost of education on non-academic services. The North Dakota Department of Public Instruction chose not to introduce bills of its own dealing with school mental health needs. Instead, we got behind the well-researched plan that the North Dakota Department of Human Services was preparing. And our North Dakota legislature responded to these needs. Our lawmakers approved a number of proposals that were aimed at our behavioral health problems and included them in the Department of Human Services budget. I want to publicly today thank and acknowledge the work of the Department of Human Services and the legislatures who worked with them on this issue. The department successfully advocated a major reorganization bill in the last session to allow it to respond more flexibly and efficiently to behavioral health needs, including those in our schools. DHS Director Chris Jones and Behavioral Health Director Pam Segnis have done exceptional work in this area. They are outstanding partners in education, and I am deeply grateful to them for their work. Since the legislature adjourned, we have progressed even more. As Tom Gerhardt mentioned, we have created a communications committee of agency professionals to develop a statewide strategy of building awareness about behavioral health in schools. This plan will share best practices and success stories. It will share information about the resources that are available to our educators and our families. As you participate in this Governor's Summit on Innovative Education today, I want you to keep in mind how we can be a positive force for students who have these behavior issues. We need to keep in mind that every student, every single student, has a story. Every student has an emotion and psychological baggage that they may carry with them, just as we adults do. We must be sensitive to those issues and open to ways to help our students. We need to be involved and show our students, most importantly, that we care. The old adage of educators, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, is true more today than it's ever been. A caring adult in a person's life can make all the difference in the world to students who may be adrift in a sea of unmanageable emotions. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to get involved. It is our business, and you can give a student the helping hand that they need. Today is an opportunity for us to learn how to better do that as educators, as a community of people, as a state. 6.5 years ago when I took office, we talked about the story of the Maasai and how their traditional greeting of the Maasai tribe, one of the fiercest and most worrisome tribes of all the world, their traditional greeting is, "How are the children?" And the traditional response is, "The children are well. All the children are well." And even warriors without children greet each other in that manner, because if all of the children are well, that means there is no disease, that there's enough food and storage, and there's no threat of attack by a warring tribe. They measure the health and well-being of their entire tribe based on the health and well-being of their youngest and most vulnerable. And we ask the question at the Department of Public Instruction almost every day, at least once a week, how are the children? And could we say that in this community, this state, this nation, that all of our children are well? And if we can't, what are we going to do about it? So I'm very grateful to be part of the Department of Public Instruction, to be very grateful to be working with Governor Burgum and First Lady Catherine on this very important issue so that our legacy can be and our purpose can go on, that after we have done our work, we can say we're a little bit closer to being able to say all the children are well. Yes, all the children are well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. Thank you for the work you do. I'm excited to be here. Let's get to it. North Dakota working together.